type thing was actually kind of like the grid that they used to then turn that into the sphere model, is what you were suggesting. And then
yes.
And then if that's the case, that would kind of suggest that like on the kind of level of how it was sold to us, in 2015, let's say, or, in the recent era, and even in the Flat Earth Society before that, was already like a blueprinted deception that would already be like a backup deception to the globe deception.
I think that those specific map projections and the model, I think it was kind of leaked by the people that assembled it originally, and then was like found in archives, basically architectural archives of the design of the globe, the in-between stages. And that's what was sprung in the 2015 Flat Earth Awakening. That's what everybody hopped on board, because it was like the in-between step, and it could assist into creating an then visualized complete self-containing model of which you could make a miniature, which would assist people in accepting a complete alternative to the globe. So they showed us the intermittent design that led to the globe.
Well, then if that was the case and that was like the backup deception, why wouldn't they, like, it seems like they want to suppress it right now. Like, why wouldn't they?
No, but don't you see?
Well, I mean, Will Duffy, doesn't it seem like they won or whatever? Like,
complicated.
Not won, but you know what I'm saying? Like, they feel like, oh yeah, the flat earth thing is pushed down, rather than, I'm saying if they wanted people in it, it seems like they more be like, oh yeah, dump into this. Come on, guys. Yeah. Which I guess you could argue that they did that to a degree with all the content.
But they showed the intermittent model because that could work. If they just went on and like, hey, this is how we made it. It's a looping realm. The Celestials have no actual location. And then we wrapped it around in a circle and then made it into a globe. Everybody would say, go fuck yourself. You're trying to deceive me, you stupid wizard. Nobody they can't get it. It's too much. They had to use the intermittent model or people just wouldn't have taken it.
So you're saying that if they did the globe thing, they would have to have a backup basically, and it would probably obviously have to be a flat earth, and then that's what they put together. They concocted that.
Yeah, they just took it one step back. That's all. Because the real thing is too complicated. We can't handle the truth. So they gave the thing in between
as the backup, and then the globe as the main, pushing that as the main.
The real official story, and this is the intermittent design that is at least close enough to the globe that the common people can kind of wrap their head around it.
Well, what about like the idea that in the 1500s, like maybe you don't really trust that history or whatever, but like there were the Monty map, for example, that really high definition one, those ones that have an AE layout that look like pretty old maps. What do you think of those?
It's a map projection, right? I mean, you're going to use a map, not a globe as a map, because a globe rolls around. It's not convenient. If you're going to use a map, then of course you're going to use the disk projection because you're using a flat surface that needs to contain all the surface in the realm.
Well, but
and all the explorers all use the celestial North Pole, right? They all use that as a point. So this is for navigation the easiest to use.
From the north going out, elevation angles, distances, yeah.
Except when you go southwards, but I mean, it's not like for actual logistics and trade. The southern part of the realm is not that interesting. It's all about the north part. That's where all the trade is. That's where all the money's made, right? The south, it doesn't really matter. So they just use this North Pole centric map. You could make a south centric map, but nobody would use it because what are you going to do there? There's nothing there.
All right. I mean, I'm understanding at least what you're saying. I'd have to think about that more. But like that one I just posted, that Monty map, that's supposed to be from the 1500s. So that's what your explanation would be. How a guy like that, you're saying he could have been actually mapping, or this could be a real map, but it's just that they're doing it all in North America, and then when they go south, I'm just trying to kind of steel man your point, but because I mean,
that's fine. It's just that
that's what I'm saying. Like, did ancient map makers
because of the navigation.
Well, are there any ancient maps then that show like a looping strip or like a looping, rectangular type? I was calling it a strip, but it's kind of like a, were there any ancient maps that show that?
I got something that sort of hints at it, but it's not really a map. It's more like an attempted drawing of the realm. I could share that. Really old.
All right. Well, I'm just saying, like, I guess you could also, people can make an argument and say, well, if you go off the mainstream history, they didn't have the vessels to be able to travel and map the whole Earth. And once we got to do that, we found out it was a globe. I mean, that's the story they're telling us. I don't think that's really what it is, but yeah, it's the story that they've
see this
put forth.
Oh, that's epic, Arwijn. I've seen that.
And it's real. I mean, you want to see a looping tunnel? Well, there you got one. Like, how else are you gonna draw it, right? That's it. That's all you can do. Right? This is like a priest trying, like a high priest, really smart person of ancient times, trying to explain to a student what the realm is. Like, how the hell are you gonna even try to attempt that? Well, this is how I would try to draw it if there was no other option.
Yeah, it's like the Earth is part of the entirety of the scenario, you know. So many people are trying to separate the Earth from the entirety of it when the Earth is more like the bottom floor of the whole thing, you know. So yeah, it makes sense.
Right? It's just the content of the space, of the realm space. The realm is really the volume in which matter exists. And the Earth is just the dirt that has settled within the available volume. And I mean, then there's the second part, right? How deep does it really go? What's at the end? Yeah, that's something we're
And
probably gonna find out.
when you talk about how deep it goes, Arwen, it's actually very interesting because if it is super thick, I mean, Newtonian gravity can work out. You can make all of that math work with the super thickness of the Earth, dude.
That's hilarious. I doubt it, though. I mean, mass has nothing to do with it. It like density theory is already like very to the point where you can consider it natural law. It's consistent at all places. So, I mean, Newton still uses like mass, which isn't even an actual physical thing. It's a mathematical extract of a physical thing, right? So, like, Newton's idea is like too mathematical to actually be physics.
Well, what about all the ancients? Sorry if you guys were on something slightly different because I kind of was away for a sec, but I had to reset my Discord thing.
Oh no, we're go.
Well, like a lot of the ancient conceptions, like in the ancient Vedics, for example, they have what they call Bhumandala, which is essentially like the earthly plane, the earthly realm that we're on, and within this the Bhumandala, it's a planar surface, and it does have those that concentric circle coming out from the center type of pattern. They don't necessarily depict the exact land; it's not like a map per se, but it's a cosmological structure, and it is like essentially like what I'm saying is that pretty much as far as I know, like all of the ancient, including the Vedics, it's usually like a sphere that has a plane in the middle, and then it has the hemisphere above, as it were, the big massive dome. Then you also might have an apparent thing from an individual viewer, but you have, let's say, the huge massive top of the sphere, you have the plane in the middle, and then you have the bottom part of the sphere, the underworld, whatever's, the great oceans, etc. The cosmic egg. I'm just saying they seem to all depict it in that sense. So if it was a looping square grid realm, why wouldn't they, like, what would your explanation be there? Like they were wrong, or they're just not onto it, or they, because like it's pretty universal too in other ones as well that they have, like, in, the Mayans, the Aztecs, they all seem to have that as like a. And in the Vedics, it's very specific because it's like the way it's laid out has to do with the layers and the heavens, and there's Akasha, which means ether basically in Sanskrit. So they have all the Akasha and all of the layers of that. So it's a very detailed, nuanced system. So I guess I'm just asking, like, how do you juxtapose some of those?
All right.
Yeah,
that's a fair enough question. But I mean, look, the Vedics, supposedly the most ancient, old information is. You do realize that like they have been twisted. Like just look at what some of the older religious part actually makes people do. Like it's been twisted. It's been messed with. It's not in its original state. I think that basically the Jesuits came in, messed with it, forced a globe type depiction onto it. I don't think it was originally that they came in and they twisted it. That's what I think.
Well, like this one I'm posting kind of shows. You're saying that like not the globe deceivers, but some other deceivers twisted a bunch of the ancients into thinking this.
No, the globe deceivers. Absolutely.
The same ones.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why?
So
no, but look. There's a logic behind this. Why would a globe deceiver give them another model? Because they just want them to discredit themselves. And how do you do that? By being wrong, right? But it has to then actually be wrong. So I think that they just forced them into this position so that everybody in the future would look at it and say, yeah, that's just wrong and it's just a globe, right? If they'd left it exactly what it probably originally was, then people would intuitively like snap in it, like, whoa, this is it, because it is real. And then ancient intuition jumps to it, right? I mean, the actual original depictions are just missing. except
Well, on
maybe
that front,
that one picture that I shared. I mean, that drawing, right? That's probably based on the original. I don't think that this Bumandala thing is the original. I think that's what the Jesuits basically forced onto them.
so you think there were Jesuits back then?
Oh yeah. No, not
All right,
back
well-
then, because there is no back then. Back then is all not too long ago. And what was there is what was inherited, what was founded, left by the ancients, picked up by the newer people that were left. And then the Jesuits basically came into being, decided we are going to mind control everything. And if to do that, we have to destroy all knowledge of what really happened. And they went in everywhere and then distorted things and destroyed things.
Yeah, I never
And
know
then made
what
up a story
people
about
mean
how
by.
super ancient it was. Made up a fake history. And I think it really doesn't go much further back than like 500 years. Before that, there was nobody there that lived before that. Whoever they were, they're not there anymore, right? The six-fingered giants, all these beings. There's graves of them, but nobody's alive from that time to tell us what really happened. They just left a bunch of stuff for us to find and for the Jesuits to remove from our conscious.
Well, yeah, I mean, we could go a lot of like in the conversation. There could be some routes in terms of history and was there a reset and how did we even get here? Because I mean, there could be an argument made. I'm not making it, but there could be a claim that could be said. Like the Vedics, let's say, is all just concocted by whoever and then just given to us today. So then that goes deeper though. Like, yeah, but is there a deeper resonance in that? Than that. I'm not asserting that is what it is, but I'm just saying there could be like, oh, there was a reset and they just planted all this stuff from ground one. And did some kind of huge reset thing and brainwashed everybody or did electroshock on everybody until
Not
they only had
everything.
whatever, something crazy. But
not everything, just these key things, just the world overview things. Which is not that much. I mean, it's not like every freaking depiction in the world shows exactly the entire realm. Like, no, it's just a few depictions of that. That's the one they had to tinker with or destroy. And the rest, they just kind of leave it as is.
Arwijn.
Shut the fuck up, moron. But how that happened, it's withheld because they had another story, another history for us to learn that was based on evolution and a slow developing society progress. And it's all nonsense. But that's not how it happened. And the civilization that we still find these ancient buildings from were way more architecturally advanced than we are now. So it's all just they did that and gave us a nonsense history of slow progress. It's just not real. Only slow progress was right after the reset, right after what they call the mud flood, the big disaster that basically killed off everything or whatever there was, and then new people came forth. And they don't know where they came from. They could all have been incubated. I mean, the technology was there. There's the giant Tesla technology. It's incorporated in giant architecture that goes like kilometers deep underneath the mud. Right? It was super advanced. And I mean super advanced. Way beyond like how we build things now. This is all just like kiddie shit what we do. And we think we're like super advanced with the robots and shit. It's a bunch of toys, man.
I hear you, dude. As you were saying that, it is intense. I was thinking just in my own life about this whole globe paradigm because we kind of think of it the way we do now. But I mean, how much has our consciousness changed? Like I know when I was a child, I never really fully bought into the globe. Like I never really would say I was convicted in it or anything, but I did generally accept it. And just that whole thing, like you were saying, of the slow evolution and you're on this ball, and then the Big Bang and the outer space, and I mean that was the whole entire story. It's just so wild to think like whatever consciousness is and how we're doing all this, that just and that was just being raised in the world we're in. I mean, I wasn't abnormal. Everybody was, that was it. And I wasn't even a big space guy or whatever. Anyways, I wasn't super into space anyway. I usually kind of thought it was all weird and kind of seemed like it could have been BS anyways. And I just, but nonetheless, like I was still in it. Like when I was 5 years old, 8 years old, I mean, you're seeing it in movies. You really think you're on this big ball going through space. It's really wild.
Right. Well, we're given the history as we're given the movies, and we watch the movies while we're watching it. We believe it's real, even when it's not really still believed, right? I mean, I know the Earth is flat. When I watch Transformers from Michael Bay and they're on the moon, all the Transformers are like in that movie, I believe it's real. Because I'm watching it. I know it's not real, but as I'm watching it, my suspense of disbelief makes me think it's real. And that's what they do with the history. They just give this to you. You don't get the alternative. And so you just believe it's real because you don't have an alternative.
Well, that's the thing, dude. About this whole globe paradigm, and I know they sell it the way they sell it. I don't necessarily agree with their history, but even if we just go from the 1800s until now, but I don't necessarily agree with their history. But I'm just saying, like, it's like we're in like a globe program in a way, like in consciousness. It's like a program of sorts. It could be said that way. Now, whether people see that as just deception, propaganda, and that's how it spreads, or whether there's something more immediate about that, like in the ether or the nature of consciousness or all, etc., in some way that we actually are tapping into something, even on that type scale as well, like into the actual time that we're in. But it's just like it's like there was some series of reset events, most likely, that led to whatever is now with the globe paradigm. The Rockefeller medicine, the JP Morgan, the Federal Reserve, the world wars, everything leading up, especially to today, seems to be like it's like they put a disc in the program system or whatever. And that took years to do, though. It took decades, really. I mean,
it took about a century to prepare it in the 19th century. And then they sprang on us in the 20th century, all of it.
Yeah, exactly.
20th century is when all the medicine crap came. It's when all the supposed space crap came. It's when all the evolution crap really was getting forced on us. It's developed in the 19th century, but like nobody gave a shit back then. They just thought, whatever, man. We're just living in this weird world in between these ancient buildings, and we're just trying to figure it out.
I know. What is that all about?
Now it's all programmed. There wasn't in the 19th. People were actually free-minded in the 19th century. You can see that in the newspapers. Oh, newspapers? Yeah, because they inherited printing presses. Yeah, just like, hey, we're born. Oh, we're figuring it out. Oh, like, oh, look, this guy went into the Tartarian building and he found this device and he figured out how it worked. You can print paper with this. Yeah, that's what happened. So we basically just took on the devices and the clothing and the culture of what was left.
Wait, Gio, you're not a young Earther, are you?
No. I don't think it's. I think it's been here for even maybe longer than even the mainstream says. And that's the question: is it eternal? Did it not even have a beginning?
No, it can't be eternal. That's logically impossible. But we don't. It could be extremely old, but there's no way to find out. Like we can't find out.
Well, I heard you say you think it's relatively young. Arwijn, how young do you think it is? You go by like Christian. I think Christians say around 6,000 years, right?
No. I don't know how old it is. It could be a freaking million years old. It could be, I don't know. It's definitely not super young. The point is, we can't find out. We can't.
Wait.
There is no way to find out, right?
Why do that though? I don't understand that. If you don't know, why then the certainty that it can't be young? I just want to know why the jab. Why always the jab on the way out? I couldn't possibly know, but
because of the technological level that we found, that we inherited, like the level of that.
Yeah, but
doesn't come into being out of nothing instantaneously. It's ridiculous.
The history of technology is just happenstance on who happens to find it and who controls who lets other people find it. So if you're saying there's other civilizations, but their timeline for technology could have been way shorter than ours, if that's the case.
Yeah, but how the hell would that level of architecture and technology just quickly come out of nothing? I mean, dude, maybe, but Jesus.
I think we're talking about two different things here.
Gods just suddenly walking forth and just spawning gigantic, magical, super architecture or something. I mean, maybe. I don't fucking know. There's no way to find out. All that I know is it can't be eternal because of entropy. It's logically impossible. Can't be. And that's it. And what we are, our current species, is kind of like animals compared to those that probably went before us. I have a suspicion that actually the Tartarian architecture, the ones that made it, they actually didn't even need to eat. I think that they did not eat. They didn't need to.
What is this Tartaria you speak of?
That's what we call the ones that we suspect made the buildings that we inherited. Made the super architecture, made the giant cathedrals, made the pyramids, made all of it. The ones that built all the things that basically preceded the mud flood that covers everything. All those buildings, all those old buildings, they all go down miles. All of them. They're super large, super tall. They're just covered. And then we came and we built on top of the mud that covered the bottoms of them. And we're kind of like animals, and we're dependent on food, and we're like very prone to our emotions, and really not that intelligent compared.
Okay. All right. So there's caverns, all underneath just about every major city on this planet. There's always been caverns. I mean, one of the
not caverns.
one of the earliest ways of managing material was underground because the easiest way to keep things dry away from the sun and control atmosphere was underground. Yes, this is a fact.
It's not caverns. They're not caverns.
So,
They're giant architectural complexes.
Okay, all right. So I don't want to interrupt you, but underneath all of these buildings, there's caverns. There are those, whether you like that or not. That's a fact. You can go explore them for yourself.
There's
never
tunnels.
seen any.
There's built tunnels, yes.
Caverns, tunnels.
No, they're not caverns. Cavern is a natural formation from water basically grinding away at rock and then naturally leaving hollow spaces. They're not caverns. They're architected complexes, tunnels, towers. They're totally architecture, not caverns.
All right. So the thing that you're talking about has never been seen by anybody until the invention of AI in the digital world.
No.
Whereas the thing that I'm talking about, whether these tunnels, these caverns,
what are you talking about?
Underground complexes under these cities can go be freely explored. You can go to Italy right now. You can go underground. You can explore these. You can go get lost in them if you'd like to. I've never in all my years heard of anybody coming back with a Polaroid film with negatives of these structures that you're talking about that go down for miles. I don't see that until we get AI. Right, so I got a problem with the evidence you're bringing.
Nonsense. They are there. They have been admittedly discovered. It's like literally in fucking newspapers, okay? And then they just say you're not allowed there, and that's final. It's all over the world. Every country in the world. Every single country in the world.
Can you show me what you're talking about? Because I've never seen.
Yeah, go to my lunch break channel. That's what they dedicate their entire channel to. Hundreds of hours.
Yeah, I've seen all their stuff, and they're not even it's all speculation. It's all speculative.
No, they're not speculating. They're looking up the official records and getting the official newspaper reports and getting people writing books of their personal testimony that went there and explored it on record, admittedly.
And did you chase down any of their sources, or am I just supposed to go watch the video and then do that work?
Yeah, go watch the video. That's right.
So you didn't verify the sources. So you watched the video and you believed the video. You didn't verify the sources of the video, did you?
Oh yes, I mean it has to be officially admitted, and then.
I'm just curious if I go and I create in Photoshop a paper and I claim that it was the Chicago Tribune from 1865, and I put the story of Joseph Niemeyer, and I create all that, and then I show that momentarily.
That's a really nice hypothetical. You can just carry on, blah blah blah. Yeah,
okay, so
you have no reason to do that. You have no reason to even lay that comparison to my lunch break work.
Did you verify the source?
Speculating on their
Do you believe NASA videos?
No, you can prove they're wrong.
Okay, how do you prove they're wrong?
Because they don't make sense and they have flaws in them that reveal that it can't be real.
Okay, so you try to verify, right? You try to verify the source. You try to track it down. You analyze it. You study it. So why don't you scrutinize the evidence that you're bringing forth and making claims with? That's all I'm curious about. If you scrutinize the other side so hard.
I do actually check their links at times. And it's all exactly what they show in the video. That's what they use. It's not fake. There's not been any people that are telling me, yo, you can't trust this, man, except you. You don't even know anything about it. You're just giving me a hypothetical because you don't really know it's real. Yeah, I did check things. They're not faking anything. Yeah, their channel is huge amount of people. Why? Because they do real research and they do deal with people that do real research and that have real books that scan them. Yeah, and all that. They have a giant team of real people, and just because they sometimes use AI for inquiry, that doesn't mean that it's not based on real things.
Okay. So what you're saying is that every book that I get out of the library that is ever taught about history, whether it be fiction or nonfiction, because you're saying I have to throw out most fiction too, because fiction can give you setting of the environment that an author lives in. It can give you structure of what the norms are. It can even give you insight into the technological capability at the time of the author that's alive. So even fiction can give you insight into the past. But what you're telling me is that I have to throw out the entire library and I have to go chase down what will probably be fruitless as I scan through years.
Yeah, let's not like you already made up your mind, dude. You believe whatever the fuck you want, dude. I don't give a shit if you don't believe it. If you don't want to find out, then you don't find out, man. You go believe. You go back.
Well, I asked you for a source.
Go back in your pod to plug back in. Do you take the blue pill? Go ahead.
I asked you for a source, but you refused to provide it. Instead, you're telling me that I need to throw out my entire
exactly
life.
how I confirmed that. Stop freaking profiling me with your fake ass bullshit.
Do
you work for a news organization? Do you work for a news organization creating propaganda?
There's no point in time that I'm going to allow you to just talk over me and have the floor because you think you're over in politics. You just want to raise your scream for a moderator every time.
Stop lying. Stop lying about what I do, scumbag.
I don't care what you think.
I'm not gonna have a conversation with this propagandist scumbag.
You're not gonna have a conversation at all.
Trying to imply all this shit about me that you don't know a fucking thing about. Just shut the fuck up.
Nobody implied anything to you. You're being nasty because you can't.
No, you are insinuating a ton of shit about me that you don't know.
You have spent all of your time in politics, right? You spent over there on a racer.
Hold on, man. This is an absolute mess, man. Can we all relax, please? Come on.
Can I get some moderation?
Just everyone relax. I don't know. I just heard chaos. Just can we all calm down, please? Just don't engage each other if you can't handle it, please.
I didn't know that was the dialogue of this room. All right, I got
Well, you can see, guys, I was away from my mic, but I did kind of hear the end of that. That's how challenging the moderation is. So if you step in and mute them, people get upset. If you don't mute them, it can also be intense. And then that looks like they both left. So, all right, yeah, I kind of was away from my mic. I heard part of that, but I don't know quite what happened there. But there was some, I don't know if they have history or something. But yeah, it's how challenging the moderation can be because, like I said, you just step in and mute them, and they're gonna be upset they got muted. Or Jeremy said that, but yeah, or if you just let them go, then that's kind of what ends up happening. That was an interesting combo actually before that happened. Maybe Arwijn was gonna go anyways, but hopefully he didn't leave just because of that. But yeah, that was kind of a. All right, let's just move on. That was a good conversation though. Want to stay on that topic, or we could shift to something else? That was just like pretty fascinating. That
sure, I mean,
before
it
that
was
happened.
riveting. But I mean, yeah, I know it's a little bit much, but like I'm just trying to give you a complete picture, and I'm not gonna like answer some fucking asshole skeptic bitch who thinks he's some kind of a mainstream news reporter. Like, go fuck himself, right? I'm just trying to give a picture, and that's it.
So let me ask you this: so, like, the idea of the general Tartarian, you know, just as like you were saying, like whoever built a lot of these buildings and so on, like whatever that civilization was, and that whole, because there's clearly architecture that does not match the story we're told. So, in my viewpoint, so that's just already a fact. Now, what did you think their worldview was?
Wow. What do you think the worldview of a people of which none are alive was?
Yeah.
Well, well, there are technically records and inscriptions, even on like stone and all that, of which some of is left. I think that from what they put together, kind of, it seemed like a lot of them were actually sort of sun worshippers, but not in like the way that we understand it. They would just like really revere the energy of the sun. They probably lived off it since they really didn't need to eat. And on top of that, also just electrical energy, mana from the devices that they basically that are in the buildings and everywhere. And
they didn't need to eat, but they were human.
I don't even know like how what their typical procreation was like. I mean, they probably did like us, but maybe like they could. I just don't know. There's no records of this, not that I know about anyway. Like the total amount of information of what they were like, what their life was like, is very sporadic and mostly seems to be like almost mythological. It's just I don't know, man.
It's been covered up and subverted and.
Well, look, a lot of stuff is found, but then it's also worked on by frickin' Freemasons that basically first work on it before they show it to the public. And so a lot of it we just never get to see. And then they use it secretly as an inspiration for their weird ass sci-fi movies. Right? That's how C3PO came to be. C3PO
I mean, do you think
is actually based on a statue that was never openly revealed. Like he got to see that before it was locked off, and that's what he used to make C3PO the model for Star Wars. It's based on a statue. This is how they operate. This is what the Freemasons do. They get first pick. They get to see the real things that are not disclosed to the public. They can use it in their weird ass creations or propaganda secretly, and that's it. And nobody.
And they have the connections or whatever. It's like a network with the connections that they have, that they can be able to interlink. In my understanding, like they were called free, or one of the roots of the word Freemason, the term Freemason, is because they were Masons and they were builders, and they had like free access between the territories. Like they could easily go in and out without having to like, you know, have as stringent guidelines in terms of that. So they were able to take, you know, equipment for building because they were very desperate to get everything built out, that they had a certain group that were allowed to freely travel between the areas much quicker.
Right.
And then therefore, when they do that, now they're getting better deals, they're getting better connections, they're selling it more for here and buying it less for there, all that stuff. Yeah.
But also because they were actually the group that was like the only group that was actually specialized in analyzing and figuring out and dealing with ancient architecture. They were like the specialists to deal with it. But what they didn't deal with it for the benefit of man. They just dealt with it with their own freaking benefit, and nobody ever knew because nobody else was dealing with it. And if you spilled the beans about it, you died, right? That's where the whole ritual thing comes from. Don't freaking tell the secrets to the outside world. Well, Tartaria is a big part of that. Right, and I mean, this is not even all Freemasons. It's really like the higher class within it. Like not the hobbyists, the Boy Scout hobbyists, Freemasons. It's like the bigger guys, which are like the same group that also deal in state secrets and all that.
Yep. Yeah, and well, those are all interesting paths that could be gone down as well. But what I was like linking to in terms of the Tartaria situation, I was going to ask you like one thing, like, do you think, okay, whoever built these buildings, like if we just in a very generalized term, even if we don't use Tartaria, like there's, in my viewpoint, my understanding is that there is our particular architecture that seems to be at a foundation within, our current era that does not match with the story they've told us. So I guess my question to you is like, were these the people who actually, or the entities that built all those buildings, as it were, and lived in them and all of that, were they human like us, or were they other than human? That's one question I had from before.
Well, they seem to be human, but they're like slightly different. You could argue that we're probably like a re-engineered or test tube created newer version of what they were. So they were like our predecessors in ways.
So they repopulated the same the same world with like, in a way, like a degraded version of what we were in some way?
It seems so, yes. Like they were probably a lot more intellectually capable, much more long-lived, especially that part, healthier. They probably lived off energy, so they didn't even need to eat technically to survive. And
well, that would explain why there's not evidence of all kinds of farming.
What happened, whoever took over, it seemed like they re-engineered us to be more like animals, to be more dependent on food, and they probably did that so that they could control us better and mind control us like by a select few. Because if you're that bright, if you're that long-lived, if you're that clear-minded, you can't be controlled by a select few. So that's probably the reason why they did that. And I mean, the ones that did that could have even been some of those old Tartarians that survived it. Who knows? I don't know exactly how it happened. People don't really know what happened. They just know these buildings were left. Nobody's left alive from then, and it's all covered in mud. And that's about it. We don't really know what happened.
That's intense. And then we just have this footage of like in the 1800s of like dusty, empty streets with these, incredibly fantastic architecture, and then these people in kind of black clothing just kind of looking a little bit lost or just kind of wandering around. Like that doesn't seem to fit. Yeah. So
it's very because they found it, right? They just moved in and it's like, whoa, look at all this old stuff. This looks incredible. Cool. I guess it's ours now.
Yeah, but why wouldn't we have that in our ancestry though? Like how recent do you think that happened? I guess that's a question. We're not like how many years are you estimating?
Recent what happened?
A transition from the old world with these different, what we're talking about versus what we are now. When did that transition?
When the mud flood happened?
Well, whenever the transition, yeah, you're saying it was a mud flood. And then okay, yeah, it would be. Yeah, I know what you're saying.
It seemed to have happened somewhere in the 1700s or early, 1800s or very early 1900s. I mean, I might be getting it off. It's like somewhere before the 19th century, I think. Not that long ago. It's like around the time when it is claimed by the mainstream history that the Renaissance was. That's pretty much it. I mean, the Founding Fathers were like one of the new batches that just came out, just reemerged, and found everything. And then Freemasons, basically an organization among them, decided, okay, we're just going to claim that we built it. And then we're going to make up another history on top of that. So that we are the new kings of this new era, even though we basically just moved in and just found all of this. That's what I think roughly happened.
Wow. Well, then where did they come from when they... Okay, so that is very...
That's the question.
Where did those humans come from? Because yeah, you're talking like, well, okay, the Renaissance they claim is what, like 14th to the 17th centuries, roughly. So I mean, is this what you're talking about? Kind of 500?
I don't know exactly where they come from. It just humans kind of re-emerged around that time. I don't know.
Well, because if there was the old world and then
were like bred in incubators and just kind of released, like, yeah, you figure it out. You're the new people inheriting this world. It's probably something like that. How exactly where? I don't know, man.
Or have you thought about, this is a much darker thing. This is pretty dark, but have you heard about the idea that, they like rounded everyone up that was in the old world, basically killed off everyone they didn't want, and then kept only the certain age children and the women, whatever, certain men, whatever it was that they kept, and to be like the core group, and then they did like massive like MK Ultra level, who knows, electroshock to the brain, drugging, who knows what, to like basically wipe them and wipe all their history and all their memory and everything to the maximum degree and degrade them in whatever ways. And I'm saying it's a very dark kind of theory. And then kind of reset us and then now put us back into these buildings, and we're like all like, we don't know who we are, where we are. We're like semi-retarded. Like, I mean, we're not nearly as advanced as they were. We like, who are we? Where are we? Like, we don't even know. Like, people think the Earth's a globe. Like, they're all twisted up in the game.
That sounds horrible, but it makes a whole damn lot of sense, actually. I haven't really occupied myself with that very specific part of how it happened. But yeah, you might be right on target with that. There are probably tons of people that suspect that is how it happened. Sounds horrifying, but yeah, it could be true.
It's pretty intense, dude, because when you think about, like, it does make a lot of sense, like even in our modern day today. Like, I know there's a lot that's gone on, but there's so much just like kind of trauma and disconnection and who are we, where are we, like, why don't we just know? Well, anyways, and all the history, why is it all a debate? Like, history should just be history. Like, we should know what it, instead of like all this lost architecture and stuff. So yeah, there's definitely more going on.
Right. Well, we can't truly know who we are and what really happened, because then it wouldn't work when we're lied to, right?
Well, that's what I'm saying. If they took those old world people as advances, they could, from just their architecture alone, to just be like, hey guys, so now actually the Earth's a globe, and we're going to sell you a bunch of chemical poisons through Rockefeller medicine. We're going to poison your food and vaccinate your children. I mean, they never would have flown, So that's what's intense. Like, did they actually put us, put humans through some kind of a? Well, then you get into the insane asylums and all of the asylums that were around back then, and how these asylums, they were using these old world architecture buildings as asylums, where they were half asylum, half hospital. So what were they doing there? It was an asylum and a hospital. So for your medical stuff. So yeah, that's pretty dark potentially. Yeah. So it's sort of like if they're exactly. So if they're deprogramming them and then they test them after, who are you? What are your memories? And then only the ones that were total, wiped or whatever would be let through, and then the other ones would just go to the hospital to either be drugged or who knows what else. So, or worse. So that is extremely intense. Yeah, that's very dark. Like that would have gone down if that went down to that level. Like, like the old world people were just amazing, and then that happened. That is unbelievable. And then they use the buildings to repopulate into these mind control centers. But then you look at the military and the school system. Like, why does it all have that pattern? Training people and indoctrination and this like regimented control structure of bowing to authority. And I mean, the whole military is like completely built on that, and school is as well.
Yeah, it's indoctrination systems.
Yeah, which goes back to like asylum, hospital, indoctrination, clearance check center, and then only the ones that got through that were fully wiped are who we are now. I mean, that is pretty wild if that is the case.
I mean, at this point, looking at how the world is functioning now, I am actually very non-surprised if it's exactly how you described it. Because people are capable of doing that to others.
Well, they've been doing it. I mean, even just MK Ultra that we know about. Yeah. So, well, yeah. Who only knows what else they might have? And that is a very dark realm. And then all the like children that are kidnapped, and if they have other land, if they're doing. I mean, I'm saying if the same entities are in control, whatever. If they did some kind of huge thing like that, if that's even a thing, then I'm just saying it's not like they stopped doing that to people. And that's the sad thing. They're probably still doing it today as we speak to who knows how many people, which is pretty sad and intense. If that's the case. I mean, this is all in the realm of speculation. I mean, I don't have any physical evidence for this. But
well, okay. Well, Geo, all that indoctrination is now in public. You look at the internet and the way the kids are behaving, especially regarding to sexuality and their views on themselves. That's definitely, this is in the open now, isn't it?
Well, yeah, I mean, who knows what they were doing in World War I and World War II, really, and who knows how many, whatever, if there is some kind of like a human trafficking thing going on. It's pretty dark and intense. Although, I mean, the level that these entities, yeah. I mean, even to consider what vaccines are is absolutely psychotic to the highest degree. And to think about concocting those chemicals and putting them into a tiny child's, infant's body. I'm not trying to cause autism, for example, in children.
By all these messed up dark rituals, what it does is it blanks you out. It forces your subconscious to...
Son. Let's say the father's beating the son physically, let's say. You could say that like that father has some dark demonic energy that's beating the child, and then the child now is being traumatized by it, and then that demonic